Thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. My name is Andrea Clem, and this week on Turn to the Stars, we're going to be talking about the energy influence of this full moon in Cancer. This full moon in Cancer is occurring tonight at its peak at around 11, looks like 11:36 here in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I'm also going to be talking about why astrology works. And the influence for this show actually came by an experience I had last week. And I was at the motor vehicle department in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I met this fellow, and his name was Tom. And the way it came about was I was getting a temporary license plate for a vehicle, and the lady behind the desk was humming or singing words to a song that was playing on the radio. And I said to her, she brought up to her coworker an important point, a very small detail that not many people would know about this particular song that was on the radio. And I said to her, that's, you must be a Virgo. Virgos usually bring out details that other people miss. She goes, no, I'm a Libra, and I'm really a true Libra. And I said, well, I'm sure you are a very true Libra. However, Virgo is the sign right before Libra in the personal planets, meaning Mercury and Venus. And those planets we call personal planets because they're very close to the sun and to us here on Earth. And she said, so I explained this to her, and she said, and she thought about it, and she kind of looked at me like maybe I don't believe you. So I felt the need to explain. And I said to her, I do this as my full-time work. And so we had a little conversation, and I thanked her, and I turned to leave. And this fellow walked up to me, and he said, turn to the stars, and you'll find your answers there. And I just looked at him because I say that at the end of the show. And he said, I watch your show every week. I enjoy it. It's interesting. Thank you. And I said thank you to him for watching. And we began to talk, and he actually was right behind me going to the elevator. And he says, I'm not sure if I believe in astrology. And I said, if you had told me 16 years ago, 15 years ago that I'd be doing this work, I would have said, you know what? I don't think so. However, the path of the events that took place in my life led me to astrology and the study of astrology. And it is something that I believe in because it works. It has proven itself every single time. Whenever I test it, the energy or the influence that's there is so exact that I go, why did I do that? Why did I test it? And so, Tom, this show is for you. I actually crafted this show around your the conversation I had with you. And based on the energy of this full moon in Cancer today, and the energy of that is so big around us. So anyway, I want to play from a standpoint of science, because astrology is a science as well as a language that, astrologers speak the language of the stars or of the planets. They interpret the vibration and how that is influencing us or affecting us here on Earth. So I'm going to play that video in just a minute, but before I go into that, I want to tell you about a very special event that is happening this Saturday at the Yard Seafood and Steakhouse here in Manchester. It is Turn to the Stars 22nd Holistic Psychic Fair, and it is going to be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the theme of this fair is a Together We Shine event. And so I've got a little video that it can explain to you that I created. It can explain to you and give you all the details about who's there, what this is all about. So I'm going to play that and be right back. So that is this Saturday at the Yard Seafood and Steakhouse from 10 to 4, and we look forward to seeing you there. And going on with the rest of the show, as I said before, why does astrology work? And so I want to go and talk about that. And I do have a little clip which I had mentioned before, which is shows us the scientific piece of the actual physical movement. And what I'd like you to do while you're watching this is see yourself. We here on Earth, we live on Earth. It is our home. It is our planet home. And imagine that you, just for a minute, imagine that you are, and this is pretty easy to do because we physically live here, but imagine that your body is the body of the Earth, and you are in our solar system. And we are constantly moving, as we individually are all constantly moving. And because of that movement, the other planets' movement, things are ever changing, ever evolving, and the influence of us moving and the bodies around us moving causes influences. So if you could take that and think of it in that way, you will have a better understanding of why astrology works on a scientific level. So we're going to play that video, and this is actually from the Science Channel. And so I'm going to go ahead and play that and be right back. So that video gives you a real good idea of the scientific piece of the actual physical movement that we experience, that the Earth experiences, and that the other planets in our solar system experience. And just like me talking to you and you in your life and the people that are in your life, we all affect each other. Our choices, our decisions, everything affects, I affect you, you affect me, so on and so forth. And I have another short video, and this one is actually by Space Animation, and this one actually gives you another way of actually further information on the planetary activities in our solar system. And I'll play this one and come right back and we'll go on. So from our solar system, from the sun, which is the light, the vitality, and the life that keeps us waking up every day as we face it. And the next planet is Mercury, that's closest to the sun, the planet of logic, reason. It rules over this energy, logic and reason and communication. And Venus, love, and our expressions and our creativity and our relationships. And then here we are on Earth, And then Mars is next to us. Mars and Venus are on either side of us. Mars is rules over our activity, our animal within, our forward movement, and it can also be anger and you know, those type of more Martian types of activity. And then after Mars is the planet Jupiter. As you saw on that video, the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter rules over anything that expands, anything that brings us further knowledge or understanding or exploration or research. That's Jupiter. And the next planet out is Saturn. Saturn is about limitation, responsibility, and being working hard, and that's Saturn. And then next to Saturn is, you know, there are some asteroids. You saw in that video, there's of course the asteroid belt, and there's many asteroids, but beyond Saturn is Uranus. And Uranus is the planet of science, the unusual, the different, the awakenings that we each have as we evolve in our life. Sudden, unusual. Can also be very erratic and very different and weird. And the next planet out is Neptune. Illusion, suffering, the things that help us to resolve and to understand things on a much deeper level. And then there's Pluto, which many call a dwarf planet. It's been labeled as a dwarf planet, but Pluto is the planet of transformation. And of course the moon, which I left out, which is its transit or its movement is right between Mars and us. So it's the closest body really to us, and so that's why we're such emotional creatures. And as I talked about earlier, tonight we are having a full reflection. The sun is fully exactly opposite the moon, shining its light onto the moon so we can really see the moon. And that moon is in Cancer, and so let's talk about that, so you kind of get an idea from the scientific standpoint of why astrology works, because of the physical influence of the planets to us here on Earth and us to them. So from a point of view of science, we need to consider that gravity is affected by the moon. Gravity here on Earth, and its proximity to our location. As I described earlier, the moon is the closest body to us. The tides of the ocean, they have a very complex interaction with the Earth and the sun. So it kind of brings us to this conclusion that it is our relationship to gravitational forces is very prominent, and the moon does affect that. We are at our core a magnetic, there's a magnetism. So the ocean tidal waves, they don't go up and down like a bathtub, but they do go in and out like the waves on a beach. And that is affected by the moon and the pull and that influence. So, when there's a full moon coming, I don't typically sleep very well because you can feel the pull of that energy, and just like the light of the moon, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and so we're exposed to that gravitation, those gravitational changes. And if you try to measure the gravitational force and the different cycles of the Earth and Moon, and also measure the air pressure, you will see the differences, and of course they do affect us. So also from a very natural view, we become very restless at these times because we are affected by the energy of that pull. Now also, I think that deep within our cellular makeup, that there's also there might be this subconscious memory that during the full moon is the time where predators hunt. So it makes us a little bit uneasy of the opposing forces around us, much like the sun and the moon. If the sun is the vitality, or the energy that sort of lights us up, and the moon is our subconscious, or rules over the subconscious, or our emotional nature. And if they're in opposite places, that does affect us because there's that opposing force. So there is a Sabian symbol. You know, astrology is actually the study of the energetic influences and what they say, how they speak to us. So the Sabian symbol for this full moon in Cancer draws a picture of people visiting in a very luxurious home, and they're all sitting in the library just reading and just having a very relaxing visit. And I suggest to you that this full moon in Cancer is about nurturing ourselves, nurturing the people in our lives, about caretaking. So my suggestion is that we all remember that it is very important for us on this full moon and this week, as this energy is so big around us, as the light of that full moon is so big around us, to remember to nurture ourselves as well as our places in this world. And by our places in this world, the sun being that it's in Capricorn is about our status, our stature, our form, and our careers. They require a lot attention in order to be successful. So this full moon in Cancer is saying there is this opposing force which is raising our awareness to nurturance, and that is also very important, and that it will take us slowing down long enough to do that, because there are some very stressful things. I'll show you that full moon on the screen real quick before the show ends, and you see where the black arrow is pointing at the top. That is actually where the full moon is, at 25 degrees Cancer, and it is opposing the sun in Capricorn. You see all those lines right through the middle of the chart? Those are opposing forces, and what they suggest is that we do what we can about what we can, because there are many opposing forces presently showing up in our life, and they are raising our awareness to the differences and the things that we like, the things that we don't like. And because this full moon is in a cardinal sign, which is Cancer, it also reminds us to be careful of our actions and our activities. And definitely there is quite a bit of stress showing up in that chart. That's what the squares and the oppositions show. And there's quite a bit that we could talk about with the sign of Capricorn, with the sun being in the sign of Capricorn, because Capricorn rules our structure. It rules our bone, the very makeup of our structure. And if we think of ourselves as a structure, which is when the sun is in Capricorn, we're very typically it's a hard time of year because it's cold. And we have to work on keeping our vitality strong. So that full moon in Cancer does bring full awareness that we need to nurture and care for the things that we want to have sustain in our lives and remain healthy. So bones do require muscle in order to move. And if we don't take care of the structure, if we don't take care of the fluids, if we don't take care of the things that make us feel good and nurture us, we won't be able to remain healthy. So that is a lot about what this full moon is about. And I want to remind everyone before the end of the show about the fair this Saturday. We hope to see you there. Come shine with us. And we have a great time. We always have a great group of people there, and bring some further insight into your life and some help along the way. So I want to say thank you to everyone for watching Turn to the Stars, and remind you to turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there, and say a big thank you to Tom for influencing me to put a show on the air of why astrology works. And again, thanks for watching Turn to the Stars. I'll see you next week.